All right, so hi, thanks for being here, Wilson, Paola. I'm going to start today's class with you, okay? We have to finish Unit 3. We are still working with Unit 3. We finished today, and we are going to start this last week. Actually, it's going to be one more day, right? So this is the last week, but we have one extra day that is going to be because of the holiday. It should take place on Monday, but I've been told that perhaps Monday is going to be holiday as well. All right, there's not going to be classes. So there's a possibility, a chance that it's going to be on Tuesday. Okay, so I'm going to let you know. It's very, very likely that the last class is going to be on Tuesday. So we have everything this week, as always, right until Friday. And the last class, to compensate for the Friday that we couldn't have any classes, it's going to be either on Monday or Tuesday. But again, it's very likely that it's going to be Tuesday. And that's going to be the last class that we're going to have in this course. That's the first thing I wanted to tell you, all right? But this week we're working normally. In terms of Pearson, you know that you have until today. Yes, it's until today to finish Unit 3. I'm going to verify that information now, okay? But it should be until today because on Wednesday, you're going to start with the last unit, Unit 4, and you should have Wednesday, Friday, and the last day that is going to be either Monday or Tuesday. Okay, that's going to be Unit 4. But let me verify if you have everything assigned until today. Also remember that the quiz was already assigned. You had from no, Sunday, it was, yes, yesterday, Sunday, and it's going to be until tomorrow, if I'm not wrong, tomorrow, Tuesday, to also take the third quiz. All right, but let's verify that one. And just in case, if you have any questions about Pearson or the information I'm giving you, you know that you can let me know. All right, so Paula, do you have any questions? Let me know, please.
Hi, teacher. Yes, I have a question about pronunciation.
Yes, tell me, what's your question?
It's about I think it's the second exercise. When you listen the sound and you need to choose one of these two words. I don't know. I don't understand. O sea,
Okay.
I listen, but the first try I do wrong. All.
Okay, we're going to check that together now, Paula. It's the second pronunciation exercise, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Give me 1 second. We're going to go to that together and we're going to see what we have to do. All
Okay.
right, good. So in the meantime, Unit 3, yes, it's going to be until today. All right, so today, 11:59 p.m. is the last chance for you to finish Unit 3. All right, it's today, as always, right? 11:59 p.m. That's the first thing. Then the second thing is the quiz that it's already been assigned. So yes, there you go. So one of you took it already. So remember, you still have today after the class, tomorrow to take it because it's going to be until April 26th. Yes, that's tomorrow. Tomorrow, 11:59 p.m. to take the third quiz. All right, it's until tomorrow. And on Wednesday, we start the last unit. Okay, that's how it's going to be working. Now, let's go to the thing that you're telling me, Paola. All right, we're going to check that together. I'm not with the sound, but I'm going to share it now. Okay, so let's go. Model B, B3, pronunciation. All right. And from these ones, which one is the one you're telling me, Paola?
The second.
This one, number 2, or this one, number 1?
Number 2.
Number 2. Okay, so before that one, let me see. These shouldn't be exercises. Perhaps let me verify, because all the first are supposed to be only information. Okay, but let's check that information. So here you only need to listen to this, right? You are checking the sound, cooler, offer, soccer, right? All of these words have this sound. But let's listen to it. Just give me a second. Okay, I'm going to share the sound of my computer. And there you go. Okay, Let's listen to some of them.
cooler,
Right? Only that So that's going to be this sound, okay? This is the sign, the symbol that you need to pay attention to, okay? Cooler. And all of them, if I'm not wrong, are going to have this one. Let's verify.
offer,
Okay, that's the sound.
soccer,
Soccer. It seems that all of them are with this one, all right? For the unstressed
remember,
Okay, let's just verify a couple more.
effort,
Okay, it's the same. Yes, it's exactly the same. Dollar.
dollar,
Okay, so as you can see, and as you can listen, all right, all of them, it doesn't matter if they are ER or OR, all right, or AR, they are going to be all right, that's the sound. We're checking this in order to understand, okay? And this is the symbol we need to take into account. Let's have that in the chat. I hope it recognizes that one. Okay, it's in the chat. That's the symbol we are paying attention to. Then in number 1, this is still something. Okay, but let me switch to this one. So you need to identify, right, this sound. Which one, all right, listen for the 2 words. Which word has the unstressed sound, right? The It has to be unstressed, it says. All right, click on the correct answer. Now I'm going to show you also the answers, but you should tell me, right, which one is going to be the
remark, rumor,
Okay, so from those, I'm going to ask you, let me increase the volume. No, actually the volume is over here. Good.
remark, rumor,
Okay, so from those 2, I'm going to ask these to any of you. Wilson, which one has the unstressed sound, Wilson? Is it the first one or the second option in number 1?
I think it's rumor.
Okay, all right, we're going to verify. Thank you very much. One more time, and I'm going to ask one more person.
remark, rumor,
Okay, and this one is also for you, Larissa. So what do you say, Larissa? Which one is the correct answer? Is it number 1 or number 2 here? In number 1, is it? Yes, tell me, Larissa.
2, number 2, rumor.
The second one. Okay, good. Now let's change to this one. All right, and we're going to verify. Yes, and it's going to be the second one. Why? Because if you listen to remark, arc, that's very strong, right? But the second one is rumor, right? That's the sound. So this is the first one, okay? Here, you need to identify which one has this sound, okay? The unstressed rumor, effort, viewers. So look for that sound, okay? That's one of them. Then let's go to the next one. All right, this, it has the same logic. And as you can see, you still have to find this sound, okay? Look for the sound, If it's very strong, it's not the correct answer. If it's kind of unstressed with not a lot of emphasis and has this like, let's say, swallowed, all right, R, like then that's going to be the correct, okay? But let's play any of them. Let's say this one.
Together. Tomorrow.
Okay, one more time.
Together. Tomorrow.
Okay, what about this one? In number 2, is it the first one or the second one? What do you say, Daniel?
And the second one.
Okay, you say the second one that has that sound. Let's play one more time. I'm going to ask one more person.
Together. Tomorrow.
Okay, what do you say then now, Paola? Which one has this sound? The first one or the second one? What do you say? Okay, you say the first one. We're going to listen, and actually, Larissa, you're also going to participate, and it's going to be one more time.
Together. Tomorrow.
Okay, so here, which one has this unstressed Larissa? Is it the first one or the second
I think the first one.
one? Okay, let's verify again. And again, this is what you have to do. Yes. In most of them, you're going to have again that in tomorrow, right? Tomorrow, the O is very noticeable. Okay, it's not it's row, right? Tomorrow. But in together, that at the end, all right? Surprise, that pleasure, okay? That is going to be in only one of them. Okay, and the other one is always going to be a little bit different. Okay, the word is going to have a little bit more emphasis. And again, it's just listening. Here, there's not going to be any rule. You just have to listen to the difference. Okay, but that's the exercise, Paula. You need to look for this unstressed identify it, and try to select the correct option. All right. I don't know if there was the question that you were asking me and the doubts that you were letting me know, Paula. Let me know, please.
No, it's okay, teacher. It was number 2.
Okay, good. But do you have any questions? The questions that you have and that you had were part of those exercises?
No.
Was it a different, did you have any problems in those exercises, or was it a different exercise that you were telling me before, Paula?
That was number 2.
It was number 2.
Yes.
Okay, good. But is it clear what you have to do? Is it clear the task? You need to identify that sound. Do you have any questions about that?
Yes, now it's more clear.
Okay, thank you, Paola. There you go. Again, these pronunciation exercises, they are not going to be like, perhaps the most important thing that you have to do here, and even the symbols, right? You don't need to memorize the symbols, and you don't need to know that this means that unstressed right? But it's important for you at least to know, right? Not to master, but to know. And that's it. Okay, I was showing you this because you had some questions. I don't know if you have any more questions before going to the lesson that we have for today. You can let me know, please. Remember again, today, 11:59 p.m., that's the last chance for completing Unit 3. And tomorrow, again, 11:59 p.m., it's going to be the last chance for taking quiz number 3. Okay, if you have any questions, please let me know. If not, we're going to go to our last lesson for this unit. No? All right. And then, before going also, I'm going to do this now. No, actually, I'm going to wait. As I told you, I'm going to verify if the last class is going to be Monday or Tuesday. And according to that information, I'm going to assign Unit 4, starting on Wednesday and finishing on one of those 2 days, okay? Or Monday or Tuesday, but I'm going to verify that information, okay? So let's close then Pearson. Actually, I'm going to use it with a different course. Let's just leave it there. I'm going to share the link so that we can practice here a little bit. And today we're going to practice a little bit more with speaking, as I told you, right? The last class we were practicing writing, and right now we're also going to check some of your exercises. But first we're going to introduce ourselves to the next lesson. And then, if I'm not wrong, we have to check your writing exercise, Wilson, and also yours, Larissa, right? That's something we are going to do now, but after the introduction to this new lesson. So, let's go. This is the new lesson, comparative adjectives. I'm going to ask you some questions about it, okay, as always. I'm going to start with you, please, Wilson. What comes to your mind when you read comparative adjectives? How do you compare descriptions in English, Wilson?
I think comparative adjectives is, I don't know, my chair is less comfortable than than yours, or something like that.
Yes, that is correct. That's one way of comparing two objects in this case and using an adjective that is comfortable, right? It can be more comfortable or less comfortable. Very good. That's one way. What is the rule for short adjectives, Wilson? For example, in that example, if you want to use the comparative or the adjective, sorry, big, how can you give me an example using big as the comparative, Wilson?
Big.
Yes.
Your house is bigger than my house.
Okay, that's correct. Very good. What do you do, for example, or actually, no, let me give you an example. If I say my house is more big than your house, is that correct or incorrect? Why?
I think in short adjectives we use and with large adjectives we use more or another thing.
Okay, correct, exactly. And that has the sound that we were practicing, right? That's the unstressed So it's going to be bigger, right? Bigger, smaller, right? And if you don't use the and you use more with short adjectives, it's going to be incorrect, right? As you said, with short adjectives, you use and with longer adjectives, you have to use more. There you go. That's it. Thank you very much, Wilson. That is correct. That's one way of comparing. Now, the next one, and this is going to be the last one before going to some examples. Larissa, this is for you. Give me, please, as we have to use adjectives, try to give me examples of adjectives, only adjectives, Larissa. Try to tell me 3 short adjectives, okay, and 3 long adjectives. What comes to your mind, Larissa?
Taller. Taller is more, no.
Good, and it can be only the adjective without the comparison, right? So it's enough if you say tall. That's correct. Tall is 1 and it's correct. 1. What is the second one? It has to be small, and a small, Larissa, it can be 1 or sometimes 2 syllables. Okay, 1 to 2 syllables sometimes.
Okay. Best and best.
That one, instead of, how do you spell that word, Larissa? How do you spell it?
Good, bad.
Correct. Good. So those are 3 short, right? And they are good. They are correct. Tall, good, bad, right? Those are adjectives. Correct. Now, let's do the same, please, Larissa, to finish, please. It's going to be 3 more, please, but this time they have to be long adjectives. Okay, long adjectives.
Expensive. Expensive. Beautiful. Difficult.
Correct. That's very good. Okay, so expensive, beautiful, and difficult, right? And those are 3 that are long. All right, just that one. Thank you very much, Larissa. So there you go, okay? I just want you to remember some adjectives because here you need to use adjectives. If you remember one of the lessons that we covered, I think it was in the last course. Let me just check. All right. Yes. Okay, here you have a lot of adjectives, and you have a lot of types of adjectives. Here, for example, all of these are going to be adjectives, right? You have bad, big, easy, free, full, great, hard, high, and then you have little, long, low, new, old, real, right? All of those are adjectives. And then you have different, difficult, as you were saying, awkward, economic, important, international, political, possible, right? Probable. So there's a lot. Okay, there's a lot. I know that sometimes when we are remembering them, it's hard to get them at that specific moment, right? When we don't want to use that for a real example, it's even harder. But remember, okay, you have a lot of adjectives, and you have short adjectives, okay, and you have long adjectives. That's very important to know, because here you need to use one type of rule for short adjectives and a different type for long adjectives. All right, that's the introduction for comparing adjectives. Okay, that's the introduction. But let's take a look at what we are going to talk about here. This one is going to be for you, please, Paola. Comparative adjectives.
Okay, comparative adjectives. When we talk about two things, we can compare them. We can see if they are the same or different. Perhaps they are the same in some ways and different in other ways. We can use comparative adjectives to describe the difference.
Okay, thank you very much, Paola. Right, so if you want to describe the differences, the difference or the differences, right? It depends on how many differences you have. You have to use comparative adjectives. Okay, it's a way of comparing things, but this is the most common. And Wilson was giving us some examples. All right, those were comparative adjectives. Here we have one example, and this is the word I asked, right, Wilson, to use. But in this case, this is going to be for you, please, Daniel. Example.
Okay, in the example below, bigger is the comparative form of the adjective big. A1 is bigger than A2.
Okay, thank you very much, Daniel. Yes, so big is a short adjective, right? And short adjectives, as I told you, have rules. And the first rule is that you don't say more big, right? It's incorrect. More bigger, incorrect. The only thing you have to say is bigger, right? This is bigger than that, and that's enough, right? Now, I have a question for you. I think you know this one, but let's try to understand this together. And this is going to be for you. Let me go to you, Paola, first. All right, Paola, when do we need to duplicate or double? When do we need to duplicate or double the last consonant when we add ER, Paola? What do you think is the rule, or if you know the rule? What do you say?
Teacher, I don't remember.
Okay, don't worry. Again, we're going to remember here. All right, we're going to remember. But let me go, all right, with some of your partners. What do you say, Larissa? When do we need to double or duplicate the consonants to add the ER or the sound?
When the word finishing when it's not a letter.
Okay, could be, but by letter you mean consonant or vowel? Because remember that all of them are letters, right? B is a letter, I is a letter, G is a letter, but B is a consonant, I is a vowel, and G is a consonant. Right?
And consonant.
Okay, yes, it's related to that, but you're missing one more step, okay? One of the conditions, yes, it has to finish in a consonant, good, but there's one more condition. What do we need to have before the consonant, Larissa? What do you say?
Mm, 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 I'm not sure.
Okay. It's okay, Larissa. We're going to try to go to the next part. Okay, thank you very much. But yes, one of them is it has to be a consonant. All right. It doesn't work with vowels. All right. It doesn't work with vowels. It has to be a consonant. All right. And the rule is going to be this one. I don't know if they are going to mention that on Pearson, but it's going to be as simple as this. If the last three letters, okay, are consonant, vowel, consonant, right? Consonant, vowel, consonant. That's the rule. Okay, CVC, consonant, vowel, consonant. It means that you're going to double the last consonant and add ER. Okay, it only happens when you have that, please. Okay, CVC. There are other rules to add a consonant, but that's in a different situation, all right? Right now, just remember that one, please, okay? CVC, consonant, vowel, consonant. If that's the case, you need to duplicate or you need to double the last consonant. In this case, you need to duplicate the G, all right? Have that in mind, please, because you're going to need to duplicate that one in some cases. This is the usage. The usage is going to be for you, please. Let me see. Larissa, please. Usage.
Often the comparative adjective is followed by than. For example, John is 1 meter, 80.
Good. You can see here only 180. Is 180?
180, okay. John is 180. He is tall, but Chris is 185. He is taller than John. America is big, but Russia is bigger. I want to have a more powerful computer. Is French more difficult than English?
Thank you, Larissa. So as you can see here, we always, almost always, if it's not implied, okay, have two objects or two people, right? So in this case, Chris, is taller than John, right? So we have tall. Here we don't have CVC, right? It's it's going to be VCC, right? In tall, it's going to be vowel, consonant, consonant. That's why we don't add a third consonant, right? It wouldn't look good and it's not like that, okay? So only tall, then the only thing you have to do is add right? The sound that we were practicing, taller, taller. And you have almost always then to compare one object to another object or one person to another person. Here the same, right? But we don't have then because in this case, the context is very clear. America is big, but Russia is bigger than what? Than America. Right? And here we're talking about United States, all right? Russia is bigger than the United States. I want to have a more powerful computer because this is a long adjective, right? And finally, more difficult because this is also a long adjective, right? And then here you're comparing French, the language, with English, the language. All right, this is just how to use it. All right, have that in mind, please. Okay, something is comparative than something else. Okay, something is or something or someone is comparative than something else or someone else. That's more or less the logic we need to follow. Okay, let's go to the next part. How to use them. I'm going to read this one, okay? Because there's no information, very important information here. There are two ways, and I told you, right? You can use short adjectives with er and long adjectives with more. Okay, that's the only thing you need to know here. Short adjectives, big, bigger, tall, taller. But long adjectives with more, comfortable, more comfortable, right? Difficult, more difficult. Okay, that's the only thing. But let's read this one now. Here we have very important rules. This is going to be for you, please, Daniel, the first part. Actually, everything. Let's read everything, please, Daniel.
Okay, short adjectives. Number one, syllable adjectives, old, fast. And syllable adjectives ending in y, happy, easy. Rule at er, old, older. Variation. If the adjective ends in e, just add r. Late, later. Variation. If the adjective ends in consonant, vowel, consonant, double the last consonant. Big, bigger. And variation. If the adjective ends in y, change the y to I. Happy, happier.
Thank you very much, Daniel. So there you go. This is going to be more than a numeric way to organize. This is going to be one syllable adjectives and two syllable adjectives. Okay, so we can use this with short adjectives, and we can consider one syllable adjectives and two syllable adjectives. Okay, it means that they are composed by either one or two syllables. All right, they are going to be short, but the rule to use it with two syllable adjectives is that most of them, not all of them, but most of them are going to end in y. Happy, right? Happy, easy, easy. So you have happy and easy. Those are two syllable adjectives, okay? Ha, one syllable. P, right? That's the second syllable. E, one syllable. Z, that's the second syllable. So two syllable adjectives, and they are finishing and ending, in this case, in y, okay? Y. And when you have that one, you can use the rule, right? So it's going to be happier, right? Happier and easier, easier. All right, so that's the rule. Short adjectives, all right? Short adjectives. Let me see if we have some example. If not, I want to work. No, let's now work with some examples, please. Let's try to use these ones. Okay, here we have one, very easy to use, fast. You have happy, you have easy. All right, and that's enough for the four of you. So I'm going to start with you, please, Wilson. Pick any of those, or if you want, you can use a different one, Wilson, but it has to be short. And give me one example, please, using that adjective in a comparative sentence. What could it be?
Messi is faster than Chumacero. I don't know.
Good. You're comparing soccer players, right? So Messi is faster than Chumacero, right? And yes, right, it's valid. You're comparing two things using fast. That is a short adjective. Great. Thank you very much, Wilson. That was with fast, right? It's very simple. This lesson, as you're going to see, it's very simple. You just need to be careful, all right, when using sometimes long adjectives or when identifying what is the best adjective. And the second one is going to be Larissa, please. You can use any of those three, old, happy, easy, or late, or you can use another one that you want that is short, Larissa. What do you say?
Late. Late, later.
Okay, so how can we use that one in one example?
Okay, that movie is later than the other.
Right? In this case, right, we have to use later in terms of time, right? So in this case, you also need to use another verb, okay? Is later, but is going what later? You need one action to use later in this case, Larissa. What would it be?
My flight arrive later.
Okay, good. Arrives could be arrives or departs later. Good. And you can say then, what can you compare? What is the second object that you can compare, Larissa? My flight arrives later than what?
Than yours.
Than yours. Good. Very good. And in the previous example, Larissa, you can use the verb start or begin, right? And you can say the movie starts later, or this movie starts later than that movie, or that movie finishes or ends later than this other movie. All right, because when you use late, you're going to use another verb to understand what is going to happen later. Okay, just that one, Larissa. Thank you very much. Good, so we have late, that was correct. Let me just have it here. It's done. Okay, later. Something happens later. You can arrive later than another person, or something can start or arrive, right, later than something else. Good. The next one is Paola, please. You can use old, happy, easy, or another one that you want to use, Paola. What do you say?
Okay. My grandpa is older than my grandmother.
Yes, that is correct. In that case, as this is an adjective that describes something very specific that can be a person, right? We don't need another verb than the verb to be, right? Good. My grandpa or my grandfather is older than my grandmother. Very good. Thank you, Paola. And let's finish this one with you, please, Daniel. Again, any of these adjectives, use it in a sentence.
The Monumental Stadium is bigger than Bombonera Stadium.
Good. Thank you very much, Daniel. Yes, right. We can use big, we can use large when we talk about right places like stadiums. So it works good. Thank you very much, Daniel. So there you go. All right. This is very simple. Short adjectives. And the only thing you do with short adjectives to compare, you use right? Older, faster, happier, easier, later, bigger, right? And so on and so forth. So that's short, okay? That's for short adjectives. Remember, one syllable, all one syllable adjectives, okay? All one syllable adjectives, and the two syllable adjectives that end in Y, okay? That's the rule to use this logic. Now we have long adjectives that it's only this. And this is going to be for you, please, Wilson. Long adjectives.
Okay, long adjectives. Long adjectives use more two-syllable adjectives not ending in Y. For example, modern, recent. All adjectives of 3 or more syllables. Example, expensive, intellectual. Rule, use more. Example, modern, then we use more modern. Expensive, we use more expensive.
Great. Thank you very much, Wilson. So the rule is very simple here, right? Two-syllable adjectives that don't end in Y. And why is this rule? Because the two-syllable adjectives ending in Y are short adjectives, okay? They use the short adjective rules. But the two-syllable adjectives that don't end in Y, Modern, pleasant, two adjectives, two syllables, sorry, right? Modern, pleasant. They are going to be with this rule. More modern, more pleasant. Okay, more modern, more pleasant. And all adjectives or 3 or more syllables. Okay, if they have 3 or more, automatically you're going to use those ones with this rule. More, right? Expensive, expensive, intellectual, intellectual, right? 3 and 4. So automatically you're going to use them with more. More modern, more expensive, more pleasant, more intellectual, right? More with all of them. And that's the only rule for long adjectives. Let's practice in the same way, please. As I told you, today we're going to try to practice more speaking because you wrote a lot last week. We're going to keep practicing writing, of course, but today we're going to have also like a short conversation about a topic, as we did one of those last classes with Larissa and Daniel in the previous course, all right? But first, let's finish this lesson because it's not long, it's not complicated, it's only knowing these rules. So again, please, guys, we are going to use these 4, okay, these 4 adjectives to give examples: modern, pleasant, expensive, and intellectual. All right. This time I'm going to start with you, Daniel. So Daniel, choose one of those, please, or you can use, if you want, a different one that is a long adjective. So what do you say? What example can you give us?
Okay. Buy in e-commerce platforms is more modern than go to the stores.
Good, right? And go to the stores. Yes, yes. In this case, you are comparing activities, right? Not objects, not people, but you're comparing activities. Good. And we can use right at the beginning gerund, and afterwards, if we are using gerund, we can also use gerund, or we can apply the rule of the base form. But let's do it one more time, please, Daniel. And let's use gerund in both cases this time, because I think I told you something different, but let's use gerund in both cases one more time, please.
Like buying?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Buying in e-commerce platforms is more modern than buying in local stores.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Daniel. Good. Because in that case, right, we are using gerunds not as verbs, but we are using gerunds as nouns, as activities, right? And they function as the noun or as the subject of our ideas, right?
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Daniel. Good. The next one, please. We used modern. Now we're going to use any of the 3, or you can use a different one. And this is for you, Paola, please. Any of those adjectives or one long adjective that you have in mind, please.
Okay. My car is more expensive than my bike.
Okay, yes, that is correct. I have no observations, Paola. Good, right? My car is more expensive than my bike, right? Good. Comparing 2 objects in this case. Thank you. Larissa, let's continue with you, please. You can use pleasant, intellectual, or you can use a different adjective that is a long adjective.
Is more intellectual than his partner?
Yes, it is valid. Intellectual can be for people, intellectual can be for activities, right? It's good, Larissa. Thank you very much. He is more intellectual than his partner. It can be singular or it can be plural. It works in both cases. Great. Thank you again. So we have one more word, or again, any other word that comes to your mind. Wilson, let's finish this up with you, please.
Um, uh, s- Staying at home is more pleasant than going out to party.
Very good. And you're using gerund in both cases, right? Staying and going. And again, you're comparing in this case activities more than objects or people, right? So it is very good, Wilson. Good. Staying at home is more pleasant than going to parties. Great. Thank you very much. That was correct. Good. There you go. You're welcome. And just that. Okay, that's comparative adjectives. The only thing, again, you need to know very well is when to use and when not to use more. Okay, because the biggest mistake, you can use that one, okay, the biggest mistake, even in advanced courses, is that people always say more bigger, okay, or more shorter, or more smaller, and that's incorrect. Right? Don't forget about that, please. Again, as you can see, it's not difficult. It's very easy to understand, but the thing is that you have to get used to it, okay? Because you don't have this structure is the same as in Spanish, right? More expensive, the same as in Spanish. But this one, this is different. You don't have this in Spanish, right? And that's why people, all right, even though they know the rule, they forget the rule and they say more old or more older. And again, that's incorrect. All right. My advice is try to practice even more with short adjectives in order for you not to get confused. Okay, that's going to be the thing. Now, we are going to do something, please. All right, and this time it's going to be different for some of you. Okay, this is going to be because I know that I need to check some of these examples. So please, Daniel and Paola, all right, the two of you, please, let's go to the file. All right, we are going to go to the file that it's in the chat. You can find the link in the chat, right? And let's write, please, 4 examples. 2 examples with short adjectives. Okay, try to use different examples. Try to play with the words. Try to play with activities as you were doing. Daniel could be with something else, all right? But 2 with short adjectives and 2 with long adjectives. Okay, that's for you, please, Daniel and Paola.
Okay.
All right, let's do it, please. And in the meantime, please, we're going to take advantage of this time, as I told you, and you told me that you want to do this together. With you, please, Wilson and Larissa, we are going to check your last exercise. All right, so we're going to start with you, please, Wilson. Let's read the last paragraph that you were able to write on Friday, please. Let's read it.
Okay. Firstly, I'd like to talk about my favorite scientist, Michael Faraday. He was a great physicist, although he didn't know neither reading nor mathematics. But he worked on fields, and that idea changed human history forever. Secondly, when I read about his history, I found out my passion for physics, so I entered university to study physics. All in all, that experience helped me to find my passion in life. That's why I've studied physics, and inspired by that idea, I want to keep studying more about theoretical physics and develop the field idea in our physical universe.
Thank you very much, Wilson. This is very, very interesting. All right, the vocabulary that you're using, the ideas that you're giving me, okay, even the story itself, it's very, very interesting. All right, thanks for sharing that with me. Now, again, I'm just going to give you recommendations, observations. All in all, it seems very, very well done. The structure that you're using, the connectors, it seems very, very well. All right. Again, these are going to be recommendations to improve a little bit the writing detail. Okay, the first one is that, as I was telling you, if you remember this to Paola and Daniel, when you use firstly and you use secondly, usually you expect that after firstly, you're going to tell me about one topic, okay, or one person could be, or one experience. And after secondly, you're going to tell me something else, something different, okay? Or if you decide to use firstly for the first action, and then secondly for the second action is correct. But now the observation in that part would be this one, Wilson. When you tell me, firstly, I'd like to talk about my favorite scientist, Michael, right, Faraday. That's one. And in secondly, when I read, I think this is going to be in past, right, his history, you are still talking about the same person, right? Are you still talking about Michael, in this case, Wilson? Let me know, please.
Yes, that's about me and my experience.
Yes, that is.
Read. Yeah.
But you're still talking about your favorite scientist, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So let's do the following. Here, you can keep secondly here, but let's move this firstly to a different place. Why? Because as you're still talking about the same person, it means that this is not going to be different, right? You're still talking about it. So this is not changing, right? But if you say secondly, then perhaps you're going to do something else than talking about your favorite scientist, even though it's your experience, right? So perhaps you can use firstly after one of the following ideas. Okay, so here you can say, to start, I'd like to talk about my favorite scientist, Michael, and so on, period. Firstly, right, it's important to know that he was a great physicist and blah, blah, blah. So firstly, you're going to give some information about him. And secondly, you're going to tell your experience related to him. All right, that's how you're going to divide. But the first idea is still going to be that one. So in that case, sorry, let me this one, Wilson, the transition is going to be even better. Okay, so here you can use a different idea, like to begin with. Okay, so in a general way, to begin with, comma, I like to talk about my favorite scientist, right? You describe the name, and then you say, firstly, comma, it's important, this is optional, it's important to know that he was, and so on and so forth. All right, but again, this is going to be optional according to how you organize. Again, my main idea here, Wilson, is going to be, as you're still talking about that person, let's use firstly, not in that first part, but as part of the sequence that you're following. First, a general description of him, and then your experience. In that way, it's going to be organized in a better way. I don't know if you have any questions about that one, Wilson. Let me know, please.
No, teacher, it's clear.
Okay, good. Now, the second part would be, let me check. Good, we can use commas, okay? Even when it's in the middle, this is going to be optional, all right? But as this is contrast, it's okay to use a comma with contrast, okay? But that's going to be optional, but it's possible. Now, this is a recommendation, and you can use it or not because it's optional, Wilson. The rule is, remember, when you have fanboys, this is complete idea, right? Complete idea, comma, but complete idea, right? So it's very good, okay? That's perfect. But you have one more option. If you have commas, 2 commas or more before, here you have 1 comma, you have another comma, it means to create a better contrast with the previous idea, the option is that you can use semicolon instead of comma before this fanboy, okay? And it's and, or, so, but yet, for, etc. Okay, that's optional. Only if you feel, Wilson, that those commas are going to be confusing and you want to be clear that here you're going to have a contrast, then you have the option of using semicolon. Okay, only when you have 2 or more commas before.
Okay.
All right, that's optional. Then, and good here, and also here, you're going to have even more commas after. Why? Because you have, but he worked on fields, complete idea, and that idea changed, complete idea, right? That idea subject, changed, verb, human history forever, complement. So here you need another comma. All right, so my advice would be changing this comma to semicolon in order to have the contrast, all right, even clearer. All right, that's up to that part. Then when I read about his history, all right, could be history if you read the biography or something like that, or if you're talking about some things that happened to him, could be story. Okay, because you can know the story.
Yes,
Yeah.
but his biography.
Okay, all right, good. And again, in some cases, all right, usually, and this is going to be something that you also are going to decide, Wilson, sometimes you mention, all right, history as only the subjects that analyzes past events. It can be related to people, okay? For example, in history, you can learn about Hitler, right? And you can mention Hitler with history, but you can talk about the story of Hitler in history. Okay, so history is the big context, and the story of a person is the experience of that person in that context. All right.
Okay.
So if you decide that this one is going to be better, that you're telling the story of a person in one context, in one historic context, then perhaps it's going to be better to say the story of that person. Okay, so it's over there. Then when it's the first part of a clause, Wilson, and after when you need a second part, right? And as you need a second part, it means that this, instead of the semicolon, it's only going to be comma in this case. All right, so when I read about his story, could be, comma, I found out my passion for physics, comma, and here you can use the semicolon. Why? Because I'm going to mark it like that. Okay, these are fanboys. Fanboys are usually used with commas, okay? But they can be used with semicolon when you have commas before and commas afterwards. Okay, so here again, the option is if you feel that you have too many commas, you can use the semicolon. Okay, again, optional. So I entered university to study physics. Good. All in all, comma, good. That experience helped me to find. 2 can be optional with help, all right? It's not incorrect. I'm just telling you that can be optional. Help me find my passion in life. Good. That's why I had to study physics. And here I have only one more, I think. And inspired by that idea. Okay, but here you are using active voice. I've studied physics. Then inspired, this is passive voice. Okay, and as active voice, of course, is not the same as passive voice. My recommendation is to use another subject, Wilson, and be clear that is passive voice. So you can say, and I was inspired by that idea. Okay, or you can say, I have been inspired, because it's passive voice. Okay, you are receiving the action there, Wilson, and you are not doing the action. In the first one, you are doing the action, but in the second one, you are receiving the action. You are receiving inspiration by someone else. Okay, so active voice, passive voice, use the subject and use the tense one more time. Okay, and then, but that idea. I want to keep studying, good. You can use this one if you feel they are connected, it's good. I want to keep studying more about theoretical physics, and you have to decide here. And to develop, as you're using want, here you have the option of saying to, okay? And sometimes is the best idea. All right, be formal, because you're using infinitive, so you can use infinitive for the second verb. Okay, I want to keep and to develop. Okay, and you don't need comma, that's correct. Okay, I want to keep studying more about the theoretical physics and to develop the field area in our physical universe. Okay, so that's good. Again, that's a very interesting writing over there, Wilson. I don't know if you have any questions about these suggestions or observations. Let me know, please.
No, not teacher, I don't have.
Okay, thank you very much one more time. And again, it was really interesting, Wilson. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, teacher.
Good. You're welcome. Let's go to you now, please, Larissa, and then we're going to check yours, Daniel and Paola. And Daniel and Paola, just in case, if you are checking your writings one more time of your examples, you can let me know if you're going to have some questions, okay? But Larissa, let's finish this up with you, please. Read your writing exercise.
Okay. Firstly, I'd like to talk about my last trip. It was for the New Year and it was an extreme adventure. I went with my friends, but they didn't suffer as much like me. Secondly, we meet new places, and in some place I didn't feel very well, and I wanted to go home. All in all, that experience was unforgettable and helped me do many things that I thought I was not able to do it.
Thank you very much, Larissa. All right, so let's check. Again, the way you're connecting the ideas, it's correct in most of the cases. And my first observation is going to be the one that I was telling you to your partners, right? Perhaps it was confusing because I gave you that idea, right? I gave this idea to all of you. And I said, first, I like to talk about this and that, right? And secondly, something that I had a lot of, and so on and so forth, right? But the only thing, again, we need to be careful, Larissa, is if you say firstly, and then you tell me that you're going to talk about your last trip, I expect that secondly, it's going to be something different, okay? But you're not going to talk about your trip, that you're going to talk about something else, all right? But as you can see, after secondly, you're still talking about your trip, right? You say, secondly, we met new places, so that's still your trip. So the same recommendation, this happened to your partners, try to use firstly as one part of your activities, not as the introduction, in this case, all right? In this case, because during the whole paragraph, Larissa, you are talking about that trip, okay, your last trip. As there is no a change of topic, then it's better to use only that as the introduction, and then you can use firstly for the first idea that you have for that trip, over here, for example. Okay, so you're going to do the following. I like to talk about my last trip, and optionally, you can do what I did with Wilson. You can say, to begin with, or you can, I'm going to teach another one. You can say to commence. Okay, that's another one. It's the same as start or begin. Okay, to commence, comma, I'd like to talk about my last trip. That's one complete idea. One complete idea, you need period or semicolon, right? Period. Firstly, it was for the new year. Complete idea, right? It, subject, verb, complement, comma, and complete idea. It was, subject, verb, complement, right? As you have two complete ideas, let's use a comma. Firstly, it was for the new year, comma, and it was an extreme adventure, period. Good. Then complete idea. I went with my friends, comma, why? Because this is a complete idea. Look, I, subject, verb, complement, comma, but, okay, I'm going to mark it like this. Oh, these are fanboys, right? And with fanboys, the minimum thing that we need is a comma when you have complete ideas. All right, so complete idea, comma, but complete idea, subject, verb, complement. Okay, suffer. Now the structure here, Larissa, it's always going to be S, adjective or adverb S. Okay, as long as soon as. All right, so it's going to be as much as me. All right, it's always going to be the structure S, adjective or adverb S, and the object or the person. Okay. Then secondly, we met new places, and in some places, good. And here you have two ideas also. Why? Because this is the complete idea, subject, verb, complement, and in some places, this is clarification. Okay, in clarification, this is optional. You can use commas. Okay, sorry. and comma in some places, comma, okay, because that's not your subject, and comma in some places, comma. Now this is the idea. I didn't feel very well, okay, and I wanted to go home. Good. And you can say perhaps, let's see if this is going to be okay with Google, but as you are using one, in order not to use another comma, okay, because you have a lot of commas, my recommendation, this is I, this is past, and if the second idea is still with I and it's still past, you don't need to use the subject, okay? And in that case, you don't also need to use a comma. Okay, so I didn't feel very well and wanted to go home. Period. All in all, comma, that experience was unforgettable and helped me do many things that I thought I was not able to do, right? You wanted to say only negative as you read it, right? I was not able to do. Here, this can be optional because you are mentioning the things, or you are mentioning the things before, right? So you don't need another object if you are mentioning the object before. Okay, that's why do is going to be the only idea. You don't need, again, another object because the objects that you are talking about are these ones. You already mentioned those objects and they are part of the same sentence. Okay, that's my recommendation, Larissa. I don't know if you have any questions, please let me know.
Okay, no, teacher, it's clear.
Okay, good. Again, let's just have into account those commas, all right? Anytime you have complete idea, if you have another complete idea, it means another subject and verb. It means that you need to divide with a comma and a fanboy, or you need to divide it with a period or semicolon. Just that one, all right?
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Larissa. Good. Now, let's check your examples, please, guys. Thank you for waiting. Let's read your ideas, please. This is yours, Paola. Paola, let's begin with you, please.
Okay. New York is bigger than Los Angeles. Cochabamba is hotter than La Paz. Reading a book is more interesting than watching a movie. Swimming with sharks is more dangerous than parachute.
Good, parachuting, right? Great, great. I think they are working very good. You're comparing places, New York, right, Cochabamba. Then you're using short adjectives, bigger and hotter. And good, you're following the rule, right? Because it's consonant, vowel, consonant, hot. And when you have consonant, vowel, consonant, you need to double the last consonant, right? Hotter in this case. Good. Then more interesting, very good, and more dangerous. So I think it's working great, Paola. I don't have any observations here, as I can see. I don't know if you have any questions about it, Paola. Let me know, please.
No, teacher, is clear.
Okay, thank you. And Daniel, let's do the same with you, please. Let's read your ideas.
Okay. I think Manchester City is better team than Real Madrid, and they will beat them. Russia is bigger than Brazil. Walking places with trees like parks is more pleasant than walking in the street. Working out with music is more exciting than without music.
Great. Thank you very much, Daniel. Again, all in all, I think it's very, very good. In this one, it's like that because in English, okay, Brazil is going to be with a Z, all right? It's going to be Brazil with that Z, all right? That's the only change over there. So we're going to practice that pronunciation, please. And also this one, this EA is going to be more like E, like pleasant. Okay, so let's repeat those two words, please, Daniel. Brazil and pleasant.
Brazil, and pleasant.
There you go. Great. Thank you very much. I don't know if you have any questions, Daniel. Let me know, please.
No, teacher, it's clear. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. So again, that will be it. I got to practice with all of you. Here you have the formula, all right? But I know that you know this one already. This is just in case if you're having some problems or you are getting confused, you can follow the formula. But you know how this works, all right? But now we have some exceptions, and this is interesting that you know, because with some of these verbs, you can use this with the first rule or the second rule. Quiet, for example. But let's read this with you, please, guys. Please, as I was working with the guys, I'm going to ask you one more time to help me with this one. This time, Paola, please, exceptions.
Okay, with some two-syllable adjectives, we can use or more. Quit, quitter, more quit. Clever, clever, more clever. Narrow, narrower, more narrow. Simple, simple, simpler, more simple.
Thank you very much, Paola. Only this word, please, let's repeat this word. Quit is going to be only with T. It's going to be Q-U-I-T. But this is going to be quiet, quiet.
Quiet.
Quiet. Great. Thank you very much, Paola. Good. So quiet, quieter, and more quiet. I want you to try to explain these ones, okay? Because these are really interesting words, at least the three first. Quiet, clever, I know that some of you know, perhaps all of you, and narrow. Okay, I don't know how many of you know about narrow, but let's start with quiet. And this is going to be for you, please, Daniel. How can you explain in English the word quiet? What is to be quiet, or what is something quiet?
To be quiet, it's like, well, it's like stay calm, or I remember that a combination for this is be quiet, to please stay in silence, or talk less louder, or something like that. Yeah, that's my explanation.
Very good. I think it's very good, Daniel. Let's give only one example, please, also. How can you use quiet in one example?
Okay. Okay, yeah. I forgot how to say it. Let me search. Yeah, the library, it's more quiet than a park.
That is correct. And if I say the library is quieter than a park, is that also correct?
Yeah, but I'm not accustomed to use quieter.
Exactly, right? It sounds weird. Using these short adjectives in that way could be sometimes weird, but yes, it is also correct, right? Thank you very much, Daniel. Yes,
Right.
That was a great explanation. To be in silence, right? Or something calm, something that doesn't produce a lot of noises, right? Or loudly sounds. Okay, so good. I think that was a great explanation. Now, clever. What is clever? And this time I'm going to work with you, Wilson. What is something clever, or what is it to be clever?
Clever, it's like intelligent.
Good. That's one thing. What do you think could be the difference between clever and intelligent, Wilson? What do you say?
I don't know. I don't know. I think those are the same.
If I ask you this one, okay, which one do you think is more general? Is it intelligent or is it clever? And which one is it more specific? Trying to guess, what do you say?
Clever, I think it's more general.
Okay, we're going to take a look at that. But again, yes, they can be synonyms. In most of the cases, to be clever, to be smart, to be intelligent, they can be used as synonyms, right? Because they give the same idea, right? But then let's try to explain that one. I know it's a difficult word, but if clever can be a synonym of intelligent, how can you explain what intelligent or to be intelligent is, Wilson?
I don't know, teacher.
Let's try to play with words. How can you define, or when do you believe, for example, if you are right on a date and you are meeting a person, a girl, okay, a girl, when do you believe that that girl can be intelligent? according to you?
I didn't understand, teacher.
Okay, so when you're on a date, right? You are meeting a new person.
Yeah.
Okay, you're meeting a new person, a girl. When do you consider that that girl is an intelligent girl? What does she, okay, have to tell you so that you say, oh, wow, she's really intelligent? Okay, so what are some words or actions that make you believe that someone is intelligent?
When she says something about science.
So that can be a connection, right? To have knowledge about science could be perhaps characteristics of being intelligent. Okay, what else? What else, Wilson?
I don't know. I don't know, teacher. That's
Let's do a little bit
difficult.
more. Okay, I know it's difficult, but let's try to do it in this way. For example, the IQ, right? I'm sure that you know about the IQ, right?
Yeah.
And they say that perhaps I don't know actually this one, Wilson, but which person had the highest IQ? Do you know?
I knew it. I think is Stephen Hawking, but he died.
Okay. Yes, many people, when they talk about high IQs, sometimes they mention Einstein, right? Or Einstein, they mention Hawkins, right? And even there are now some children, right, that they are believed to be even more intelligent. But I don't know, okay? I don't know how true that can be. Okay, but this is my question. How is IQ measured, Wilson? What do you need to do in order to have a high IQ? And that can be also a characteristic of being intelligent, right? So what do you need to do to have a high IQ, Wilson?
Oh, I don't know. I think take a test, and in that test, you must do exercise, mathematics exercise, connections and puzzles.
Correct, exactly, right? So in other words, you are telling me that you need to solve problems, right? So you need to solve problems. Yeah. And sometimes to be intelligent, and this is not a general description, right? But you can say to be intelligent is to be able to solve problems, right? In a fast way and in an efficient way, right? That can be like a general idea. And it can also be related to what you were telling me, right? A person that is very well informed, a person that is knowledgeable, right? What is to be knowledgeable is to have a lot of knowledge on many topics, right? So have that in mind, Wilson, because again, one thing that can help you practice English is try to describe words that can be difficult to explain. But if you look for the words, there's always a good way to describe that with simple words. Okay, look, I use very simple words. Intelligent can be solving problems, okay, doing it fast, and doing it efficiently. Okay, I think that can be it. I don't know if you agree with me on that one, Wilson. Let me know, please.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
Okay, let's have that in mind, please. And clever, okay, just to let you know, it's a little bit more specific than intelligence, okay? To be intelligent is more general, actually, but to be clever, you only can be sometimes clever with something very specific, okay? With a very specific task or with a very specific technique sometimes. All right?
Okay.
Okay, good. Thank you very much, Wilson. Good, so that was clever.
Thank
okay,
you,
we have quiet, you're welcome. We have quiet and we have clever. The next one is narrow. So narrow, this is for you, Larissa. What do you know about this word? Can you try to describe it, please? You can tell me the meaning or try to use it in a sentence. What do you say?
No, I don't know, teacher, what mean that word.
Okay, good. Let's learn then, okay? Something narrow is something that has a very small space in between two things. Okay, for example, if I have this, the space is very big, right? Between this hand and between this hand. But if the space gets like even smaller, okay, a very small space, this is narrow. Okay, this is a very narrow space. Okay, a very small space in between two things. Okay, a very small space in between two things, or can be to be small or to be short in a certain way. All right, small in a certain way. So with that logic, let's try to use it in one example. What example do you think you can give me, Larissa, using narrow as part of that example?
That how I say tunnel.
The tunnel.
The tunnel is narrower than the next tunnel.
Okay, good. This tunnel is narrower or more narrow than the next tunnel. All right. And again, if you want to know that word it can give you, sometimes it can be related to estrecho. All right. That can be sometimes narrow. Great. I don't know if you have any questions about that word, Larissa. Let me know, please.
No.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. There you go. All right. So quiet, clever. I had a lot of conversation with clever and intelligent because it can be really interesting, and narrow. Okay, those can be exceptions. Okay, exceptions. Now, let me see the time. Good. Now, before finishing, and actually we are finishing here, you have even, these are the last exception. Let me just read this with you. And the other one are examples. Let's read this with you, please, Paola. Exceptions one more time.
Okay. Exceptions. The following adjectives have irregular forms: good, better, bad, worse, far, farther, further.
Thank you very much. There you go. So exceptions. Good, it's not gooder, right? It's better. Bad is not better, is worse. And far is not farther, is farther or further. Okay, further or further. It changes a little bit, but be careful. These are like irregular adjectives. Okay, they change when they have to be used in comparative forms. Okay, and you used it, right? Daniel, you used it better in an example, and it was correct, right? So that's it with exceptions. And this is it actually with the lesson. I want to take advantage because we have like 15 minutes, and I want to practice some speaking with something that we did with some of you before. And again, this chart is something optional to practice, but we're going to do this one, okay, on Wednesday in order to review. Okay, this is going to be something we're going to use to review this lesson, and you can remember this. And here you have the elements to practice. Let me know, please, if you have any questions about this lesson, guys. No? All right. Then let's take a look at this. As I told you, with some of you, we were practicing some of these elements. And this is what I want to talk about now. All right. This is going to be a speaking practice that I told you. And again, you didn't write as much as previous days today because I want you to practice some speaking. The topic is going to be study. All right, let's read the question, please, for this topic. Daniel, please, let's read the main question over here.
Okay, how helpful are these study tips for a final exam?
Okay, thank you very much, Daniel. So before reading them, okay, I'm going to cover them actually. These are tips, okay, tips to, well, for a final exam, right, to study for a final exam. But I'm going to ask you one by one. So I'm going to start with you, Wilson. So what do you do? All right, what do you do when you have to study for a final exam that it's a very important final exam with very important information and a lot of information to learn. What do you do, or what's your strategy, sorry, to be prepared for that exam? What do you say? Any ideas, Wilson?
Teacher, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. So I try to explain all that I read to another person that doesn't know the topic or all about that I have studied.
Very good. That's really interesting, right? They sometimes, right, say that teaching is the best way of learning, right? So
Yes.
good, very good. Usually, who's that person? Do you have a friend, a relative that you give that explanation to, or is it a random person that you meet?
And my girlfriend.
Hey, good. Usually it's your girlfriend, right? You explain that topic to her. She doesn't know about that, but if she's able to understand that one, it means that you're doing a good job, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
very good. Thank you very much, Wilson. Good. That's one. Larissa, the same question for you, Larissa. You have a very important final exam about something very important for you and a lot to study. What is one thing that you do to be ready, to be prepared for that situation?
Take or sleep very well after study.
So you study, you only read the books, you study what you have to study, right? You read what you have to read, and after that you need to sleep very well, right? That's something that you have to do to have a good exam, right?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, and when you study, Larissa, do you do something special? Do you only read the information, or do you make some summaries? Do you make some mind maps, or do you write that information, or do you draw? Do you do something else than just reading, or you only read when you have to study?
I do I forget his resume, how is it?
A summary, a summary.
Yes, a summary with the most important.
Is the summary handwriting, or is the summary on a computer?
Both depends of the what I study.
So it can be both, right?
Yes.
Handwritten, or it can be on a computer. Great. Thank you, Larissa. Good. Paola, the same idea, please. What do you do when you need to study for a very important test? How do you do to be prepared for that one?
Okay. Well, sometimes I do a summary, and others study with classmates. And sometimes I create flashcards. So if I need to remember some words, I need to use these. Also, sleep very well before the test.
Very well. So sleeping very well, right? With the journey. Good. So good. And why? Why do you believe that the sleeping well, as Larissa said, is important before taking any exam, Paola?
I think your brain can think better.
Very good. Yes, that's a great explanation, right? When you are rested, when you are like with all right your attention towards one thing and you had a good sleep, it's better, right, to pay attention to something. Okay, good. Thank you very much, Paola. Great. And Daniel, let's finish this one with you before showing some of those ideas to finish the conversation. But what is the thing that you do, Daniel? What do you do for a final exam?
Well, I'm used to writing important notes or summarize ideas. Could be my computer or my cell phone. Then I'm used to testing myself. Could be with random questions or some question in a website or something like that.
Very good. So it's like a mock test, right? Like a model test that you take to yourself, or you take a test on a website, as you're saying, right? To see if you're ready, right? If you're not ready, you keep studying in the same way, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Daniel. Good. So let's have those things in mind. Now we're going to start showing some of them, okay? It says take good notes all year. Okay, it can be all year or all the semester, all right? It depends, right, on how much that subject is going to last. It can be even years, okay? But usually it's going to be months or a year. So how important do you think this is? I'm not going to ask to all of you, just one by one. Wilson, what do you think about this idea? How important is it, okay, from 1 to 5? Okay, 1 being not important and 5 being very important. And why, Wilson? What do you say?
I think it's 4. Could be 4. And because take good notes all year gives you a reason for not decay or not be I don't know how to say peor. Oh, I remember to be worse than yourself and trying to be better.
All right, good. Thank you very much, Wilson. So it's something with you, with what you do, the interest that you have, or the interest that you have with that subject, right? And that's going to help you being better, right? And not to be worse, as you said. Okay, good. So it's a 4. Okay, it's close to very important. Okay, it can be important to very important. Thank you, Wilson. The next one, create a study group with your friends. This is for you, Larissa. Again, from 1 to 5. How do you rate this tip and why?
Because we can help us.
You can use there the reciprocal pronoun, right? You can say we can help each other, right? We can help each other. Good. And how's the rate, Larissa, from 1 to 5? 1 being not important and 5 being very important. What is the rate that you give to this tip? One more.
Yes.
Yeah,
please.
tell me, Larissa.
No, I don't understand.
Okay, so from 1 to 5, right? 1 not important, 2 not so important, 3 somehow important, 4 important, and 5 very important.
Okay.
What is the number that you give to create a study group with your friends?
Maybe 3. That is
3.
not.
Good, so it's in the middle, right? Balance. It's somehow important, de alguna manera, okay? Somehow means de alguna manera, somehow important. Okay, and one more time, you told me it's good because you can help each other. And why is this not very important, Larissa? Why is this not very important?
Because sometimes we can distractions maybe, and if I study alone, it's better.
Good, very good. You can use the passive voice there and you can say you can get distracted, right? You can get distracted or you can be distracted, right? And sometimes it's better to study alone. Good. Thank you, Larissa. Good. So that's create a study group. The next one is going to be Paola. Study every night the week before the exam. Again, from 1 to 5. How do you rate? 1 is not very important, not so important, and 5 is very important. What number do you give to this tip, Paola?
I think it's very important. Maybe 4.
Okay, and why? Why is it very important or close to very important?
Because you need to review all the information that you learn in class. So if you want to do a good test, you need to study.
Thank you very much, Paola. Yes, reviewing is very important, and reviewing something doesn't happen in only one day. And even you need perhaps to practice way before than 1 week, right? It has to be more, but good. Yes, 4 and reviewing. Then this can be interesting. You can tell me, this is for you, Daniel. Create a mind map, okay? A mind map, I don't know if you have used those ones, right? It's like some drawings. You have the main idea in the middle, right? And you have branches, okay, that develop from that main idea to understand what is that concept, for example. So how important is that one for you, Daniel? This is a strategy from 1 to 5, and why?
Well, this is, I don't know how to explain this, but this is very important in my career. I mean, technology, because we had a lot of technologies that are related to each other. For example, in one technology, you have a lot of branch. How can I say this? Regarding the main technology, or a lot of branch that are the main must now that you have for that technology. So a mind map or just maps are really useful in my career, because you summarize the big things for each technology that you have to learn or you have to know to be in a good percentage of knowledge with that technology. And that applies for every technology.
Thank you very much, Daniel. So good, very, very good. One thing, when you use that word as ramas or ramificaciones, all right, or conexiones, you can use actually the plural and you can say branches. Okay, the branches, exactly. Good, good. So in your case and in your career specifically, it is very useful, right? So how much do you give to this one in your case, Daniel, from 1 to 5?
Well, as I said, this is, I don't know, I didn't think in other careers, but for me it's a 5.
A 5. Good. Thank you very much, Daniel. Good. Thank you. And let's finish with this one. All right, guys. It says sleep. Don't study the night before. Okay, this is at the end because Paola, Larissa, you were talking about that. So this is going to be in general. Okay, I'm going to ask this in general, and you're going to try to tell me your reason. And it says, don't study the night before. Okay, it means that you have to study even before, not the night before, right? The night before, you have to sleep very well. You don't have to study. So one by one, okay, you give me a short reason, and you are going to select one of them as the most important and one of them as the least important. So Wilson, very shortly, okay, very shortly. What do you think about this last one, Wilson? Is this very important or not? Is this something that you do?
No. I do the opposite.
Okay, you do the opposite. So for you, right, this is personal. How much do you give to this one? And this is according to you, Wilson, from 1 to 5. What is the rating for this one?
I think 3.
3. Okay, so it's somehow important, right? Somehow important. Not very
Yeah,
important for you, but it's a little bit important. Good. Now, Wilson, which one, only you from these ones, Wilson, from these ones, which one is the most important for you? Only tell me, please, the most important and the least important. Which one do you choose as the most and the least?
The most study every night, the week before the exam, and the less one, I think, create a study group.
Okay, very good. So most important, this one, and the least, this one, and this is according to you, right? Great. Thank you very much, Wilson. Good. The same for you, please, Larissa. First, tell me about this one, Larissa. Sleep, don't study the night before. How important is this for you?
Yes, it's important because the night before we are nervous about the exam.
Good. From 1 to 5, how much do you give to this one, Larissa?
A 4.
4. Okay, good. Now, in general, Larissa, from these ones, which one is the most important and which one is the least important for you?
Can and maybe take good notes all year. It's the more important, and the less create a study group.
Very good, good. And this one, we are going to learn, this is superlatives. Instead of more or less, here in this time, okay, we're going to use most, okay, the most, and in the other one, you're going to say the least. Okay, so good. So the most important, take good notes, and the least important, create a study group, right? Good. Thank you very much, Larissa. Now I'm going with you, Paola. The same, very shortly. How important is it to sleep and don't study the night before, Paola?
Okay, in my opinion, I need to sleep. I can't do a test if I study all the night.
So how much would it be then from 1 to 5, this
one? Important to sleep?
Yes.
For me, it's 5.
Good, 5. Now, from all of these, which one is the most important and which one is the least important, Paola, from all these tips?
Well, when I was studying in the university, I preferred to study in a group. So for me, it's the most important because we can compare the answers. Maybe the less important, because I study engineer, is to create a mind map.
Okay, thank you very much. So the most important, right, studying in group, and the least, right? Instead of less is going to be for comparatives, but for superlatives, it's going to be least. Okay, the least important. Good. Thank you very much, Paola. Good. And Daniel, the same, please. First, sleep, don't study the night before. How important is that for you, Daniel?
Okay, I think it depends on your current status at that time, but could be a 3.
Good, somehow important, good. And from all these tips, Daniel, again, which one is the most important and which one is the least important for you?
Well, I think the most important is take good notes all the year. I'm used to doing that. The least important, I think, is sleep. Don't study the night before.
Great. Thank you very much, Daniel. Good, right? That's going to be the least, right? The least important. Great.
Least.
Thank you. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, so that's going to be the practice. We used more time, but I really wanted to do that with you so that we can practice a little bit with speaking as well. All right. Thanks for your patience, for being here in this practice. As always, please, I'm sharing the screen, the survey. Let's answer that survey, please, and you may leave the class. Have a good night and see you tomorrow. Okay,
Thank you,
bye-bye.
teacher. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, see
Bye,
you.
teacher.
Hi, teacher.
Bye-bye, take care.